certainly. HAARP is an acronym that stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. HAARP is a field of antennas on the ground in southeastern Alaska, so linked together as to work as one giant antenna, and it is today the world's largest radio broadcasting station. But it's not designed to broadcast for human ears. It's designed to inject a fantastic amount of radio frequency energy into a spot at the very top of the atmosphere with the intention of heating that spot by several thousand degrees. HAARP is a type of device called an ionospheric heater. Ionospheric heaters have been in use around the world since the early 1970s, but HAARP uses a unique patented ability to focus the radio frequency energy coming out of the field so it can inject the entire amount of energy, and here we're talking about 3.6 million watts, into a spot about 12.5 miles across by about 2.5 miles deep by about 90 miles up. Now, to give you an idea what 3.6 million watts is, the largest legal AM radio station in the U.S. is 50,000 watts. HAARP is 72,000 50,000 watt radio stations injecting their full effective radiated power into the spot, which heats that spot by several thousand degrees. That produces a number of phenomena. Keep in mind that from the 1950s to the 1970s, atmospheric science was all about understanding processes, about trying to figure out how things worked in the air. From the 70s to the 90s, it was improving and correcting and characterizing, is getting exactly right what the processes were. Starting with the 90s, we went from discovery to application, and HAARP is all about application. HAARP is not about understanding how the atmosphere works. HAARP is about making the atmosphere do things for us. Now, with this injecting 3.6 million watts into the spot, that heats the atmosphere by several thousand degrees, which literally blows the molecules apart. And when the molecules are blown apart, they give off a package of energy, which includes a stream of ELF, extremely low frequency radio waves, which penetrate deep into the earth and deep into the sea. And the U.S. Navy has been using this for about 15 years now to communicate with deeply submerged submarines. There's another odd aspect to this, and what it's really about, where HAARP really came from, is that when you blow the molecules apart, you convert them into what is called a plasma, which is an electrically charged gas, which goes out into space. And it keeps going out until it runs into something to stop it, such as an incoming ICBM, a passing spy satellite, or the Earth's magnetic field. This plasma gets caught between the magnetic lines of force and spreads out, forming a shield. It is, because it's electrically charged, anything electrical like an ICBM passing through it would be disrupted or destroyed by it. It is a ground-based Star Wars weapon system.
Woo. And I gather that you and Nick Begich had different ideas of what the intention and the application of HAARP was when you initially met. It's changed since then.
It's a self-education process, and as you get more facts, your opinion of things tends to change as you understand them better. And Nick and I have almost traded places. He was and I don't want to put words in his head, but Nick's initial take on it was that it's clearly a ground-based Star Wars weapon system, military bad, civilian good. I can prove it's military hiding under civilian skirts, therefore it's bad, and that's pretty much all there is to it. That is, it's a bad military thing, and we have to stop it because it's a bad military thing. I got much more concerned about this thing because I saw that it had a lot of potential for covert ops. Nick saw it had the potential, but he didn't really focus on it. And there are two major areas of this. Again, HAARP is designed to bathe the world in ELF, extremely low frequency radio waves. one, to communicate with deeply submerged submarines. Two, it was originally funded to locate and monitor enemy underground bases with the manufacture and launch of weapons of mass destruction, because it was believed that this ELF, which penetrates deep into the earth and deep into the sea, could not only be used to communicate with submarines, but could be used to target and monitor underground bases. Curiously enough, the United States Senate funded HAARP expressly to do that, and now, 15, almost 20 years later, HAARP there's not a single word in the official HAARP literature about doing this, which makes me wonder, are they thumbing their nose at the U.S. Senate, or have they actually developed this technology and have developed it so well they don't want anybody to know what their real capabilities are? Now, the problem with this, the problem that Nick and I both saw, was that this ELF is at exactly the same frequency that the human brain works at. And I had been studying mind control. I've been studying MK Ultra and CIA dirty dealings since 1976. So between 76 and 96, I had 20 years of mind control technology under my belt. And when I saw HAARP and what HAARP was designed to do, I went, oh my gosh. If HAARP is exactly what they say it is, if there's nothing secret, nothing weird about it, but it's just some guys playing with antennas, they could accidentally and inadvertently cause mental disruption across a huge portion of the planet and not have a clue they're doing it. But if there is a secret side to this, if they do know what they're doing, this could be the ultimate mind control device. And Nick was initially concerned about weather control because the patents that HAARP is built on expressly clearly state that it can be used to manipulate the weather in a number of different ways. Well, now we've sort of switched around. I've gone into the weather control side, and he's gone into the mind control side.
At a certain point, as soon as they passed in the UN Convention against weather modification, that's when all the information about their experiments and their working with the weather were hushed by the media.
That's a brilliant take. What HAARP is HAARP is an example of environmental modification technology in the era following the passage of this UN treaty. And this UN treaty came out of the U.S. military using weather and environmental processes as a weapon in the Vietnam War. There were two major things that the U.S. was doing in the Vietnam War. One was Operation Popeye, which was an attempt to extend the monsoon season in Southeast Asia by cloud seeding over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in hopes of turning the Viet Cong resupply route into a hopeless quagmire of mud. The other thing they were doing, and you probably heard about Agent Orange and Agent White and so forth, was the spreading of literally millions of gallons of defoliants across the jungle. And it wasn't like they were telling us it was to clear roads and paths, landing fields. No, it was because they realized that the jungle provided shelter and sustenance to the enemy, and if the jungle were gone, the enemy would be deprived of that shelter and sustenance.